You are tuned into FM on the couch with Bongiwe, Songongo. Music has become the key tool that allows people to express themselves. And no matter how diverse we are as a society, it just has that ability of bringing us together. Sanbonan, Molweni, Dumelang. Welcome back to On the Couch with me, Bongiwe, Songongo. So today is an amazing day because we are literally going to be putting our feet on the couch. I'm having a conversation with a woman who understands the story of Kwaito. Madame Zel, how are you today?
Hello, Mama.
Hi, Toby. I'm sorry, I've got to take this off. So today I asked my crew members to prepare me my favorite ginger tea because our conversation today is over hot. Before we go on, and you know how we can get, for our listeners and our viewers, I would like you just to introduce who you are. And let's start the journey of Kwaito.
Jeez, where does it begin? Zenzi Masuku, Utati, Wasepai, Etinaha to be exact. I'm born in Swaziland to my exiled parents and grew up in Tanzania, but came back in the 90s just after the release of Utata, and that's where the journey started.
What is it about Kwaito that you feel has not been told? Let me give you an example. When I grew up, I was very young, but my identity in the introduction of Kwaito for me was when I think Kwaito, I think King of Kwaito, and he is my first reference. So, is there a time before that?
I would think so. So for me, I think there's an untold story. Yes, everybody that's famous tells the story, from Arthur to Oscar, and yes, the story started with them, but there's a story before them, the build-up to how Kwaito started, the dancing, the nightclubs, it wasn't nightclubs then, it was afternoon clubs. We had afternoon sessions because most of us were young, and Oscar owned a club where you pay 5 rand to go in. Some of us didn't pay because, of course, we were friends or whatever, but that's where it started. There were dance groups, then it was house music, there was no Kwaito, there was and then the dancing. That's where Kwaito came.
So where does Kwaito... Okay, so are you saying that Kwaito is associated to dance music?
It still is dance music.
Okay.
That's where the journey began.
And when it comes to Kwaito, because when you say dance, umjive. But what differentiated Kwaito from any other genre?
It was dance and it was a new Mandela kind of music. It was us born, we were not born free then. We were a new generation, a totally new generation. And it was the first generation to come out of apartheid, you must remember.
What was it like though?
It was hectic. It was beautiful and hectic at the time because we had Hillbrow. It started in Hillbrow. We had a club called Arena. I know that's where it started. We had a club called Arena that was run by Oscar. And like I was saying, we had Labafana. They used to be dancers. Abafana Bomtanda. It was competitions. We had LMT, Lebo. That's where they started. LMT, and it was dancing competitions. The club used to operate mostly on Saturdays. Saturday were the afternoon sessions. So you'd have the guys dancing, it was competition, you'd win 25 rand. So you'd have 20 groups dancing, but the most famous then were LMT, which is Lebo, Mabatu and Tembi, and you had Abafana Bomtandazo, I don't remember their names, and then you had Amajets. Amajets was Nicholas, who later danced for Tebe. You had Umsiga, Umsiga, Usutu, they went and danced for BOP. There was a few of them. Theo was part of them. He went on to be part of Bomshaka. So you had that. Just big groups, they danced so well. Imagine winning 25 rand for a competition, and we had that every Saturday. So literally people made money from it. 25 rand was a lot then. So that's where the generation just grew. The music.
What drew you to Kwaito in that person?
I think it's the influence. While going to Arena, I was just this girl that, would I say like things, or had friends that did. And I met Lebo. Lebo was the friendliest person you could ever meet. I met Lebo. I was with Joseph. Joseph used to be one of the dancers as well. The late Joseph Majaivana. They used to call him number 7. I was with Joseph outside Arena. He had come pick me up at my house and he said, "Asambise Arena." And I was chilling with Joseph and Lebo came. Hey, ubani kabalako. And I was like, "Zenzi, and I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Asambise Jaiva." And I was thinking, okay, so Jaiva would be. I knew nothing. I literally had a long skirt up to here. Lebo had something this short. She was hyper. And she says, so we let 25 rand. Do you know, she literally pulled me into a stage. I had to run out. She danced and won the money. And that's how I met her. And that was the right. Became friends with her and then joined LMT and then met everybody. And she was getting into the groove then. I remember how she'd tell me, "Oh, Zenzi, I'm going to be famous, watch it. I'm going to be famous." I remember the day she won the 25 rand, we went to a salon, she wanted to do her hair. We went to a salon and she sang, I remember she sang Tevin Campbell's, "I'm Ready," and I was like, who am I sitting with? She sang it so well. And I was like, whoa, I'm sitting with a star. But then we are kids and I'm thinking, nah, it's not her. And she sang, and I was touched. And she'd always tell me, like, we became close from that. She'd always say, "I'm gonna be famous, I'm gonna be famous." And you know, when we're young, you're thinking, what did she say? You know? And I saw her grow slowly. And then she perform at clubs like a Gemini. You know, there were clubs in Pretoria that were very famous then. And she'd go and perform there. Nightclubs, and she did well. And then we had Eternity again, and she performed there, and you'd see the passion in her. And that's how White started.
That's beautiful though. I think a lot of us start a love of music because the first high, lack of a better word, is always the one that wants us to know more. What kept you loving White? It's one thing to enjoy the sound when it is introduced to you, but what kept you in that space?
The passion. I think the space, the people, the different people, the music, because it was different sounds then. You had, when we started, you had about Bomshaka, you had about BOP, and then came Tebe, and then came Arthur with Gaffer, that was big. And then there was Makendlas, and then there was, not a lot of people know him, but he was amazing to me. Superstar, there was Zama, there was New School. I could mention so many. That sound was different, and the passion in the performance, which you don't have these days, was amazing. And then we started in clubs, so the performance was firstly in clubs, and then the cigarette companies picked up into it and they started doing our concerts. And then we had the Benson and Hedges concerts.
Yes.
Those were big, those were huge. From Wits University, Medunza, all the universities would have helped those. Those were beautiful. Then came Kwaito. That was the rise of Kwaito.
In the artists who were very big at that time, obviously Kwaito is still around, and I'm talking about now when you tasted the land of milk and honey, when it came to this new sound that came, well, new to you, not necessarily new in the space. What was their message at the time? What was the messaging to you as a young girl?
You can't, it was horrible. It was horrible. The message mostly was horrible.
Share.
Especially, we can't, not on national TV.
Oh.
The BOPs used to.
What was the feeling of the message?
The feeling, we are young, it's beautiful, it's what you want to hear. Except for Boom Shaka, okay, maybe another, but BOP was big, but they were singing, what you can't mention right now on TV, but they were big. They were very big. And then we were selling cassettes on the street. Abodi, Scotch used to sell outside Carlton. Carlton was the Sentin of today. Better than Sentin actually. So we'd all, after school, especially on Fridays, all walk down. It was like a culture. And this is not all walk down, it's all schools in Joburg. And you had thousands. We'd like walk down Carlton Center or small street at around 2. You'd find Yonke uniform that you can imagine walking down, and Galawa had the speaker and a van outside the Carlton playing their music, and they'd be selling cassettes outside. And imagine, look at it today, and that's where it started. Look at them today.
Where's the space of Kwaito now?
Ish, I'm not much into Kwaito anymore. I'm not sure about Kwaito. I love your Devon Kwaito. I love your professors. I love your big Nas. It's shifted a bit. Of course, things change. But I still love. I'm traditionalist, so I still love the hardcore Kwaito. Your umlilo with big Nas. That for me is Kwaito. It's something I can relate to.
So I feel that you are more than an emotive person who's, when they speak about Kwaito, it is something that was a spiritual feeling, and it evolved you into feeling things that you were never exposed to. But when you talk about it, I see the smile. I see the passion. I see how you light up. If you were going to be a Kwaito artist in 2020, what would your message be?
I don't think I'd want to be a Kwaito musician in 2020, hey? So much has changed. No, I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be. But if I had a message, it would be about change. I feel the culture is died with our kids, especially. Which we had something to hold on to. As much as there was dissing, as much as there was vulgar use sometimes, but we had content, we had something to really hold on to, and there was respect within the industry. I don't feel we have that anymore.
That's powerful, Zen.
Thank you.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I know you're a busy woman, and every voice counts, and you're taking us on an amazing journey that some of us can't even identify with. But music is a feeling, even if you know the words or not, but it's a feeling. And I feel that you've represented the feeling well in your expression.
Thanks, darling.
And I really appreciate you coming out today.
Oh, thank you. And just a bit more. There was the TKZs.
Oh yes, share.
There was the TKZs. Let's not forget about them. I don't think they'd want me to leave this room before. Zwa is like a cousin of mine. We come from the same neighbor. We actually, what would you call them, neighbors? So I grew up with him literally. And one day we were invited into a show. It was Tony Braxton's launch, actually. There was a club next to Carlton Center when town was still town. And we get there and they say, launch TKZ. We had never heard of TKZ. I think that was 95. Me and a friend of mine, Nandi, who later became a rap artist. She was very good, but things happened. And we get there and the Tony Braxton launch happens. Well, without Tony Braxton, this is on screen. And then these boys come in, and it's corporate, everybody's sitting down, and these boys come in, and it's only me and Nandi that are young here. And take it easy when things are good. And we're thinking, okay, this is a different sound now. And we're like, yeah! And it's only us the only two girls, and we going on, and that's where now the other side of Kwaito, now the more hip hop side of Kwaito was born. I had to mention that. And the first album didn't do so well. One of my favorite albums actually from them. I don't even think Phala Phala comes next to it, but I know people, because they know Phala Phala, would prefer Phala Phala. And then came Phala Phala. And then there was Mandoza. Let's not forget Mandoza, please. You know? Let's not forget Mandoza. He changed the story altogether, you know? So yeah, thank you very much for having me though.